My name is James Carter. For years, I refused to tell anyone this story. Not because I was afraid people wouldn't believe me, but because every time I spoke about it, something happened inside my house. Lights flickered, doors opened by themselves, and sometimes, late at night, I could hear tiny footsteps running across the hallway. The same footsteps my 4-year-old son used to make. My son, who had been dead for almost 19 years. If you're expecting a story about ghosts, you're only half right, because what destroyed my family wasn't something that came from a cemetery. It was something that lived inside our home, long before we realized it was there. And by the time I understood the truth, it had already taken everything from me. Back in 2007, life couldn't have been more ordinary. I worked as a maintenance supervisor for a manufacturing company about 40 minutes from our house. The hours were long, but the pay was enough to give my family a comfortable life. My wife, Emily, stayed home to take care of our son, Noah. Noah had just turned 4. He was the kind of child every parent dreams of having. Curious, funny, always asking questions. He loved toy dinosaurs, cartoons, and insisted on sleeping with the same blue teddy bear every night. Our house was never quiet. If Noah wasn't laughing, he was running. If he wasn't running, he was asking his mother another impossible question. Looking back now, those ordinary moments are the ones I miss the most. Emily was an incredible mother, patient, gentle. She never raised her voice. Even when Noah covered the living room walls with crayons or spilled cereal across the kitchen floor, she'd laugh before cleaning everything up. People always told me how lucky I was, and they were right. We weren't rich, we weren't perfect, but we were happy. At least, that's what I believed. The first strange thing happened on a Tuesday evening. I came home from work a little after 6. Emily was making dinner while Noah sat at the dining table drawing monsters with colored pencils. The moment he saw me, he ran over and hugged my legs. "Daddy!" "Hey, buddy. Guess what Mommy did today?" I smiled. "What?" He looked over his shoulder to make sure Emily couldn't hear him. Then he whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. "Mommy got scary again." I laughed. "What do you mean?" Noah frowned. "When you went to work, Mommy forgot how to walk." I looked toward the kitchen. Emily was humming while stirring soup, completely unaware of our conversation. "What do you mean she forgot how to walk?" Noah demonstrated by lifting one foot awkwardly into the air. "Like this." "She walked funny." Then he giggled. "But she got better when she saw me." Kids imagine strange things. That's what I told myself. Maybe Emily had slipped. Maybe she was stretching. Maybe Noah had simply misunderstood something. I kissed the top of his head. "You've got a big imagination." He didn't smile. Instead, he looked confused. "I'm not pretending." That night, after Noah had fallen asleep, I casually mentioned it to Emily. "He said you were walking funny today." She laughed. "Me? Apparently." She shrugged. "I don't even remember leaving the kitchen most of the afternoon." We both laughed about it. Neither of us gave it another thought. But over the next few days, Noah kept saying the same thing. Every afternoon, only when I wasn't home, he'd quietly tell me, "Daddy, Mommy got scary again." At first, I thought it was just a game. By the end of the week, I wasn't so sure anymore. The next few days passed without anything unusual happening. At least, nothing unusual that I witnessed. Every morning, I'd leave for work just after 7. Emily would wave from the front porch while Noah stood beside her in his dinosaur pajamas, yelling, "Bye, Daddy." Everything looked perfectly normal. Every single morning. Then, every evening, Noah would quietly pull me aside, always when Emily wasn't looking, always whispering, as though he was afraid she'd hear him. On Thursday, the moment I walked through the front door, Noah grabbed my hand. "Daddy, can I tell you something?" "Of course." He looked toward the kitchen. His tiny face had become unusually serious. "Mommy got scary again." I forced a smile. "What happened this time?" Noah hesitated, then pointed upstairs. She was standing in your room. So, she wasn't moving. Kids exaggerate. That's what I kept telling myself. What do you mean? Noah looked directly into my eyes. She stood there for a really long time, looking at the wall. Did she say anything? He nodded slowly. She was talking. To who? He shrugged. There wasn't anybody there. That answer stayed with me all evening. Not because I believed him, but because Noah never lied. If he broke a plate, he admitted it. If he stole cookies, he admitted that too. Making up stories simply wasn't something he normally did. That night, while we watched television after putting Noah to bed, I decided to ask Emily again. Hey! She looked over. Yeah. Have you been spending a lot of time upstairs lately? She frowned. No. I've barely gone upstairs all day. What about this afternoon? She shook her head. I cleaned the kitchen, folded laundry, made lunch. Why? I hesitated. Noah said he found you standing in our bedroom. She laughed. He probably dreamed it. I never even opened that door today. There was something about her answer that bothered me. Not because I thought she was lying, but because she answered too naturally, like she genuinely had no memory of it. The following afternoon, something happened that made me stop dismissing Noah's stories. Around 3 o'clock, my phone rang while I was at work. Emily. I answered immediately. Hey. She sounded confused. James. Yeah. Did you come home during lunch? I frowned. No. I'm still at work. Silence. Then, that's strange. What happened? I could have sworn I heard you upstairs. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? I heard footsteps. Your footsteps. I even called your name. She laughed nervously. I guess I imagined it. When I got home that evening, Noah was sitting quietly on the living room floor. Not playing. Just sitting. Holding his blue teddy bear. The moment he saw me, he walked over. Didn't smile. Didn't hug me. He simply whispered, Daddy. I don't like when Mommy talks to the ceiling. I felt something cold settle deep inside my chest. What? He looked upstairs. She stands in your room. And she talks. But... He lowered his voice even more. Nobody answers. I slowly looked toward the second floor. Everything was quiet. Everything looked normal. Emily was downstairs making dinner, humming to herself, exactly as she always did. That night, long after Emily had fallen asleep, I couldn't stop thinking about Noah's words. I tried convincing myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Stress, sleepwalking. Maybe Emily was absent-minded when she was alone. Maybe Noah misunderstood what he saw. Maybe. Every explanation sounded weaker than the last. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up thirsty. I quietly climbed out of bed and walked toward the kitchen. As I reached the hallway, I stopped. Our bedroom door was open. I was certain I'd closed it before going to sleep. I looked back. Emily was still asleep beside my pillow, peaceful, breathing softly. She hadn't moved. Then, very slowly, I heard it, from somewhere upstairs. A woman's voice, soft, barely louder than a whisper, talking to someone. I couldn't make out the words, only the sound. There should have been no one upstairs, because my wife was still asleep behind me. I stood frozen in the hallway. The bedroom behind me was silent. Emily hadn't moved. I could still hear her slow, steady breathing. Yet somewhere upstairs, a woman was whispering, not loudly, not clearly, just enough for me to know someone was speaking. For several seconds, I convinced myself I was still half asleep. Maybe the television downstairs had been left on. Maybe it was the neighbors. Maybe the whisper stopped. Complete silence. I slowly climbed the stairs. Each wooden step creaked beneath my feet. The old house had always made noises at night, but this felt different. It was as if the entire second floor had gone unnaturally quiet. Even the air felt heavier. The hallway was dark. Only a faint strip of moonlight came through the bathroom window. Every door was closed, except one. Our bedroom. The same bedroom I had just walked out of. My heart began pounding. That door should have been downstairs. I turned around. The staircase behind me was empty. The hallway below was exactly where it should have been. But somehow, our bedroom door now stood open at the end of the upstairs hallway. I slowly walked toward it. Each step felt wrong, as though the floor beneath me wasn't entirely solid. The room was almost completely dark. Only enough moonlight entered through the curtains to reveal vague shapes. The bed, the dresser, the wardrobe, everything looked normal, until I noticed someone standing beside the window. Emily. At least, it looked like Emily. She stood perfectly still. Her back faced me, long black hair hanging over her shoulders. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. She was simply standing. Emily? No answer. I took another step. Emily. Still nothing. She didn't even react to my voice. Then, without turning around, she quietly whispered, "Don't wake him." A chill ran through my entire body. "Noah?" I asked. "What are you talking about?" She didn't answer. Instead, her head slowly tilted to one side. Not naturally. Farther, farther, until it reached an angle no human neck should ever reach. Every instinct told me to run, but my legs refused to move. Then, very slowly, she began lifting her right foot, higher, higher, until it hovered several inches above the floor, without losing balance, without touching anything. Couldn't breathe. She took one step forward. The raised foot never touched the ground. Instead, her body simply glided, smoothly, silently, across the wooden floor. My mouth went dry. I whispered, "Emily." This time, she answered, but the voice wasn't hers. It sounded deeper, older, as though two people were speaking at the same time. "She's sleeping." At that exact moment, a hand touched my shoulder. I spun around with a shout. Emily, the real Emily. She stood behind me wearing her pajamas, half asleep. "What are you doing?" Her voice was tired, confused. "James?" I immediately looked back toward the window. Nobody. The room was empty. The curtains moved gently in the night breeze. Nothing else. Emily rubbed her eyes. "You scared me. What are you doing up here?" I stared at her. "You were just standing there." She frowned. "What? By the window?" "No. I just woke up. I thought you were in bed." I looked toward the bed. It was empty, cold, as though nobody had been lying there. Emily slowly reached for my hand. Her fingers felt warm, real. What happened? I wanted to tell her everything. The whispering, the figure, the floating, the impossible voice. Instead, I simply shook my head. "I think I'm just tired." She smiled gently. "Come back to bed." As we walked downstairs, I glanced back one last time. The bedroom was dark again. Empty, or so I thought. Just before I reached the staircase, something moved behind the bedroom curtain. A silhouette, watching us. It slowly raised one hand and pressed a single finger against its lips, as if warning me not to tell Emily what I had seen. I never slept again that night, but from that moment on, I stopped believing Noah was imagining things, because now I had seen it too. After that night, I stopped trying to explain everything logically. I had seen something with my own eyes, something that looked exactly like my wife. Yet Emily had been downstairs the entire time. There was no explanation that made sense anymore. The next morning, I didn't tell Emily what I'd seen. She already looked exhausted. Dark circles had formed beneath her eyes. She complained of constant headaches. And every morning, she'd wake up more tired than the night before, almost as if she wasn't actually sleeping. Noah refused to leave her side, but something had changed. He no longer hugged her first thing in the morning. He watched her, carefully, like a child watching a dangerous animal. During breakfast, Emily stood at the kitchen counter making pancakes. Without taking his eyes off her, Noah quietly whispered to me, "Daddy." "What?" "She's pretending today." I felt my stomach tighten. "What do you mean?" He leaned closer. Mommy isn't always mommy. Before I could ask another question, Emily turned around smiling. What's my favorite boy whispering about? Noah immediately looked down at his plate. Nothing. She laughed. Everything looked perfectly normal, but I noticed something strange. For just a split second, Emily looked disappointed, almost as if she'd hoped Noah would say more. That afternoon, I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep guessing. I needed proof. Real proof. The following day, I called my supervisor. I need the afternoon off. Luckily, he agreed. Instead of going to work after lunch, I parked my truck 3 streets away from our house, then quietly walked back through the woods behind our backyard. There was a small window beside our bedroom, hidden by bushes. From there, I could see almost the entire room. Emily had no idea I was outside. Around 2 o'clock, she carried a basket of clean laundry into the bedroom. Completely normal. She folded clothes, opened drawers, made the bed. Nothing unusual. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I almost convinced myself Noah had imagined everything. Maybe I had too. Then, Emily stopped moving. Completely. She remained standing in the middle of the room, a freshly folded shirt still in her hands, her head slowly lowered, as though she were listening to someone standing directly beneath the floor. 30 seconds passed. She never blinked, never shifted her weight. Nothing. Then, her lips began moving, very slowly. She was speaking, but there was no sound. I pressed my face closer to the glass, trying to read her lips. It looked like she kept repeating the same sentence, over and over and over again. Suddenly, she smiled. Not her usual smile. This one was too wide, too perfect, too empty. Then, something impossible happened. Without bending her knees, without using her hands, both of her feet slowly lifted off the floor. She floated, only a few inches, but enough for me to clearly see daylight beneath both feet. My heartbeat became so loud I could barely hear myself breathing. Emily slowly drifted across the bedroom. Her arms hung loosely beside her body. Her head leaned farther backward than seemed physically possible, almost until she was staring directly at the ceiling. Then, she began walking, not on the floor, on the wall, 1 foot, then the other. Her body climbed upward as though gravity had stopped existing. She reached the wall beside the ceiling and continued moving, upside down. My legs nearly gave out beneath me. She stopped directly above Noah's bedroom door, completely upside down, then turned her head, very slowly, toward Noah's room. A smile spread across her face, and for the first time, I heard her voice, soft, almost affectionate. She whispered, "Soon." I couldn't take it anymore. I threw the bedroom window open. "Emily!" The sound shattered the silence. Instantly, she fell. Not slowly, not gently. She simply dropped to the floor like an ordinary person. She looked up at me, confused. "James, what are you doing outside?" I ran inside the house, straight upstairs, burst into the bedroom. Emily was sitting on the floor rubbing her elbow, looking genuinely frightened. "What happened?" she asked. "Why are you yelling?" I stared around the room. Everything looked normal again. The folded laundry, the made bed, nothing out of place. I grabbed her shoulders. "Emily, were you just standing on the wall?" She blinked. "What? You were floating. You were talking. You." She slowly pulled away from me. Tears filled her eyes. "James, I think you're the one who's scaring me." Before I could answer, a small voice came from the hallway. "Daddy." Noah stood there, holding his blue teddy bear, looking terrified. He slowly pointed behind his mother, then whispered, "Don't let her turn around, because that's not mommy anymore." Noah's tiny voice barely rose above a whisper. "Daddy, don't let her turn around." Every hair on my body stood up. Emily was still kneeling on the bedroom floor, rubbing her elbow after the fall. She looked frightened, confused, completely normal. But Noah, he wasn't looking at her face. He was staring at the back of her head. I slowly stepped between Noah and Emily. What do you mean? Noah's little hands tightened around his teddy bear. She's looking at me. I frowned. Noah, she isn't. He shook his head violently. Not her face. The other face. My blood ran cold. Emily looked up at me. What is he talking about? I don't know. But deep down, I was beginning to. Emily slowly stood up. The moment she did, Noah screamed. The loudest scream I'd ever heard from him. No! Don't let her turn around. Without thinking, I shoved Emily backward. She stumbled onto the bed. What are you doing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I had to know. Very slowly, I walked behind her. My heart hammered against my ribs. Emily looked over her shoulder. James, you're scaring me. I swallowed hard. Then, I looked at the back of her neck. Nothing. Just skin. Hair. Perfectly normal. I let out a shaky breath. I was losing my mind. I turned back toward Noah. See, there's nothing. He interrupted me. His face had gone white. It's gone. What? It went away. When you looked, Emily began crying. I don't understand what's happening. Neither did I. That evening, none of us spoke much during dinner. Emily barely touched her food. Noah refused to sit beside her. Instead, he sat beside me and never took his eyes off his mother. Around 8 o'clock, Emily quietly said, I think I should see a doctor. I looked up. Why? I keep forgetting things. She stared at her hands. Sometimes. I don't remember entire afternoons. I didn't tell her what I'd seen outside the window, or what Noah had said. Instead, I nodded. Tomorrow. We'll go tomorrow. That night, I decided I wasn't taking any chances. I pushed Noah's bed into our bedroom, locked every door, checked every window twice, then placed a chair beneath the bedroom doorknob. Felt ridiculous, but somehow, it made me feel safer. At exactly 2:43 a.m., I woke up, not because of a sound, because of silence. The room felt empty. I looked beside me. Emily wasn't there. My heart immediately started racing. No! I whispered. The bedroom door was still locked. The chair still blocked it. The windows were closed. There was no way she could have left. Then, I heard scratching, very faint, coming from inside the closet. Scritch, scritch, scritch. I grabbed the flashlight from my nightstand, slowly approached the closet. The scratching stopped. Emily? No answer. I slowly opened the closet door. Nothing. Only hanging clothes, shoes, boxes. Then, something warm dripped onto my wrist. I looked up. My flashlight beam slowly climbed toward the ceiling, and my entire body froze. Emily was pressed flat against the ceiling. Not hanging, not climbing, pressed against it, like gravity had completely reversed. Her fingers dug into the plaster. Her feet bent unnaturally. Her head slowly turned, until she looked directly down at me. Her eyes were completely black. No whites, no pupils, only darkness. She smiled, far wider than any human mouth should allow. Then, in a voice that wasn't hers, she whispered, He sees me now. Noah woke instantly. The moment he looked up, he screamed, It's not Mommy. Emily's body twisted. Every joint cracked at once, one by one. Neck, shoulders, arms, legs. The sound echoed through the room like breaking branches. Then, she dropped, not onto the floor. She landed perfectly on both feet, without making a sound. Still smiling, I grabbed Noah, pulled him behind me. Run! We rushed out of the bedroom. I slammed the door shut, locked it, then dragged the heavy wooden dresser across the hallway until it blocked the entire doorway. From inside, there was no screaming, no pounding, only a soft knock, 3 gentle taps. Knock, knock, knock. Then Emily's voice, perfectly normal, calm, almost amused. James, why did you lock me in? I looked at Noah. He slowly shook his head. Tears streamed down his face. Then he whispered the words that made my blood turn to ice. "Daddy, Mommy is standing beside you." Noah's trembling voice barely escaped his lips. "Mommy is standing beside you." For a second, couldn't breathe. Every instinct told me not to turn around. If Noah was right, then whatever was locked inside the bedroom wasn't Emily, and whatever stood beside me was something else entirely. I slowly tightened my grip around Noah's hand. He was shaking so violently that his tiny fingers felt ice cold. "Daddy!" His voice cracked. "Don't look." The hallway became unnaturally quiet. Even the knocking from inside the bedroom had stopped. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. Then, something warm brushed against my right shoulder, very gently, like someone had rested their fingertips on me. My heart nearly stopped. I squeezed my eyes shut. "Who's there?" No answer. Then I smelled it. Emily's perfume. The lavender perfume she'd worn for years. The exact same scent. A familiar voice whispered into my ear. Soft, calm, almost affectionate. "James, why are you ignoring me?" It sounded exactly like Emily. Exactly. Noah buried his face against my leg. He began crying. "Please don't answer her." I couldn't. The voice came again. Closer. "Look at me." Something inside me desperately wanted to turn around. Not because I was curious, because it felt natural, almost impossible to resist. Then, I remembered something my grandmother used to tell me when I was a child. If something calls your name in the dark, don't answer until you know who's speaking. At the time, I'd laughed at those old stories. Now, they were the only thing keeping me from turning around. I slowly stepped backward. Whatever stood beside me moved with me, always staying just outside my vision. Another whisper. "James, I'm cold." The voice was heartbreaking. It sounded exactly like the woman I'd loved for 10 years. Then, started crying. Real crying. The kind of crying Emily did after Noah was born. The kind I'd only heard a handful of times. My resolve began breaking. What if it really was Emily? What if the thing inside the bedroom wasn't her? I slowly started turning my head. "Daddy!" Noah screamed. So loud the entire house echoed. "It's lying." The crying stopped instantly. The hallway fell silent again. Then, laughter. A woman's laughter. Low, slow, enjoying itself. The voice changed. No longer Emily's. No longer human. It sounded ancient, as though dozens of voices were speaking together. The child always ruins everything. A violent crash exploded from inside the bedroom. The heavy dresser blocking the door jumped several inches across the hallway. Another impact. The wood cracked. Boom! The entire doorframe shook. Whatever was inside was trying to get out. I grabbed Noah. "We're leaving." Barefoot, still wearing only pajamas. We ran downstairs. The front door, locked. I reached for the deadbolt. My hands shook so badly I could barely grip it. Finally, it opened. Cold night air rushed into the house. We stepped onto the porch. I immediately turned back toward the upstairs window. Every light inside the house had gone out, except one. Our bedroom. A silhouette stood inside the window, perfectly still, watching us. Then another silhouette appeared. Then another. Then another. There weren't one or two. There were dozens. Tall, thin, standing shoulder to shoulder inside the bedroom. None of them moved. All of them watched. One of them slowly stepped closer to the glass. Moonlight revealed her face. "Emily." She smiled, then gently raised one hand, not waving goodbye, beckoning, inviting us back inside. Suddenly, the bedroom curtain was pulled aside by another hand. Smaller, tiny, a child's hand. A little boy stepped beside Emily. Blue pajamas, messy brown hair, holding a blue teddy bear. "Noah." I looked down. The real Noah was clinging to my leg, crying uncontrollably. Then, the boy inside the window smiled, raised one finger, pointed directly at the real Noah, and silently mouthed for words. "I want him back." At that exact moment, every window in our house, shattered, all at once. The sound of breaking glass echoed across the quiet neighborhood. Every window in our house exploded at the same moment. Thousands of tiny pieces rained onto the lawn. Emily screamed. Noah buried his face against my chest. I instinctively backed away from the porch. For several seconds, nothing happened. The shattered windows remained dark. The figures inside had disappeared. Only the cold night wind moved through the broken house. The neighbor's porch lights slowly turned on. Doors opened. People stepped outside. An elderly couple across the street looked toward our house. A teenage boy came running from next door. James, what happened? I looked back at the bedroom window. Empty. There was nobody there. No Emily. No little boy. No shadows. Just broken glass. The teenage neighbor looked confused. Did somebody break in? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. How could I explain what we'd just seen? Within minutes, police arrived. Then an ambulance. The officers searched every room. Flashlights swept through the house. Closets, basement, attic, bathrooms, everywhere. One officer walked back outside. Mr. Carter, the house is empty. I frowned. What? We didn't find your wife. My heart stopped. No. I locked her upstairs. The officer exchanged a confused glance with his partner. There wasn't anybody upstairs. No. I shook my head violently. That's impossible. I locked the bedroom. The two officers followed me back inside. The dresser still blocked the bedroom door, exactly where I dragged it. The lock was still engaged. Nothing had moved. One officer slowly pushed the dresser aside, unlocked the door, opened it. The room was empty, completely. The bed, the wardrobe, the folded laundry, everything remained exactly as before, except Emily was gone. No broken window, no hidden door, no sign of escape, nothing. One officer searched the closet. Another checked beneath the bed. The bathroom, every corner, nothing. Noah tugged gently on my sleeve. Daddy! What? He pointed toward the ceiling. There, barely visible against the white paint, were two muddy footprints, upside down, crossing the ceiling, from one side of the room to the other, then stopping, directly above Noah's bed. The officers never looked up. Only Noah and I saw them. I blinked. The footprints disappeared. The police questioned us until sunrise. I told them everything, every impossible detail. The floating, the voices, the figures, the shattered windows. They wrote everything down, but I could see it in their faces. They didn't believe me. Officially, Emily Carter became a missing person. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no blood, no evidence. She had simply vanished. The following weeks became a nightmare. Detectives searched nearby forests. Volunteers joined rescue teams. Helicopters flew overhead. Divers searched rivers. Nothing. Emily was never found. The house no longer felt like home. Noah refused to sleep in his room. He refused to go upstairs at all. Every night, he slept beside me on the living room couch. One evening, about 3 weeks after Emily disappeared, I was helping Noah color dinosaurs. For the first time in days, he smiled, a real smile. Then, he suddenly stopped coloring. He looked toward the staircase. His smile vanished. Daddy! What? He spoke so quietly I almost didn't hear him. Mommy came back. I immediately looked toward the stairs. Nothing. Empty. There isn't anybody there. Noah slowly shook his head. Without taking his eyes off the darkness upstairs, he whispered, "Not for you. Only for me." Then, he smiled, not at me, to someone standing at the top of the stairs, and softly said, "Mommy says it's my turn now." The words echoed through my mind long after Noah said them. Mommy says it's my turn now. Every instinct inside me screamed that something was terribly wrong. I grabbed Noah by both shoulders. "What did you say?" He blinked, almost as if waking from a dream. "Huh? What did Mommy tell you?" He frowned. "I didn't say anything. I stared into his eyes. He looked genuinely confused, almost frightened, as though he couldn't understand why I was panicking. That night, I made a decision. We weren't spending another night in that house. I packed 2 bags, grabbed Noah's clothes, his favorite teddy bear, a few family photographs. Then we drove to my older sister Sarah's house, nearly 30 miles away. Sarah welcomed us without asking too many questions. She already knew Emily had disappeared. She assumed Noah and I simply needed a place to stay. I let her believe that. Trying to explain the truth would only make me sound insane. The first night, nothing happened. No whispers, no footsteps, no strange dreams. For the first time in weeks, I actually slept. The second night, everything changed. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up because I heard Noah talking, softly, as though he were having a conversation. I quietly walked toward the guest bedroom. The door was slightly open. Moonlight filled the room. Noah wasn't asleep. He sat upright on the bed, facing the floor. He nodded slowly, as though listening to someone, then quietly replied, "No. Daddy said I can't." My heart skipped a beat. "Who are you talking to?" I whispered. Noah didn't answer me. Instead, he smiled, still looking down. Then he asked, "Can Mommy come out now?" I rushed into the room. "Noah!" The moment I grabbed him, he jumped violently, looked at me with terrified eyes. "Daddy, what were you doing?" "I was sleeping." "No, you were talking." He shook his head. "I had a bad dream." I looked beneath the bed. Nothing, only darkness. A few storage boxes, dust. Still, something felt wrong. I reached underneath anyway. My fingers brushed against something soft. I slowly pulled it out. It was the blue teddy bear. I frowned. "Noah, I thought you brought this to bed." He looked beside his pillow. His own teddy bear was still there. I looked back at the one in my hands. Same blue fur, same stitched smile, same missing left button. Exactly identical. There couldn't be 2. There had only ever been 1. Sarah entered the room after hearing the noise. "What happened?" I showed her both bears. She laughed nervously. "Maybe you bought 2. "No, I didn't." She compared them. Even she stopped smiling. "They're identical." Then one of the teddy bears blinked, not its eyes, the stitched eyelids. They slowly closed, then opened again. Sarah screamed. The bear slipped from my hands. Both of us watched it hit the floor. Neither bear moved again. The next morning, Sarah insisted we leave. Not because she didn't love us, because she was terrified. "I don't know what's happening," she whispered, "but whatever followed you, it came here, with nowhere else to go." I rented a cheap motel on the other side of town. 1 room, 2 beds, far away from our old house, far away from Emily, or so I hoped. That evening, Noah finally smiled again. He played with toy cars on the motel floor. For a few hours, everything felt normal, until bedtime. I tucked him into bed, turned off the lamp, started walking toward my own bed. Then, Noah quietly asked, "Daddy?" "Yeah. If Mommy is dead." I froze. "Who keeps crawling under my bed every night?" Before I could answer, something underneath Noah's bed laughed. A woman's laugh. Slow, soft, unmistakably Emily's. The laugh lasted only a second. Soft, gentle, exactly like Emily's. Then, silence. Neither Noah nor I moved. The motel room suddenly felt much colder. I slowly pulled Noah into my arms. He buried his face against my chest. "Daddy, it's under there." I didn't answer. Instead, I grabbed the bedside lamp, knelt beside Noah's bed, and slowly lowered the light toward the darkness underneath. Nothing, only an old carpet, a few dust balls, the metal bed frame, no person, no animal, no movement. I reached farther underneath. My fingers touched the back wall. Empty. There was nowhere anything could be hiding. I stood up, trying to convince myself we'd imagined it. Then, tap. Something hit the underside of the mattress. exactly beneath where Noah had been sleeping. Noah immediately started crying. "It's angry." Before I could react, another tap. Closer, slower, tap, tap, tap. It sounded almost like someone knocking from underneath the floor. I grabbed Noah, didn't even bother packing. Within 2 minutes, we were outside. The motel manager wasn't happy when I demanded another room. But after hearing the noise himself, he stopped arguing. The next morning, he called me. His face looked unusually pale. "Sir, you stayed in room 12? "Yes," he nodded. "Housekeeping found something." He handed me a small evidence bag. Inside was a child's muddy handprint, found beneath Noah's mattress. The manager quietly added, "Nobody stayed in that room for nearly 3 weeks. That was the moment I realized something horrifying. It wasn't attached to the house anymore. It wasn't attached to Emily. It was following Noah. I couldn't run forever. I needed answers. Real answers. There was only one place left. Emily's grave. At first, I hated the idea. The cemetery was the last place I wanted to go. But every strange thing seemed connected to her, to Noah, to whatever had entered our lives. That afternoon, I drove to Green Hill Cemetery, the same place where we'd buried Emily, after police finally declared her legally dead. They'd never found a body, only enough evidence for a court to issue a death certificate. An empty coffin, a funeral, a headstone. The cemetery was almost deserted. Gray clouds covered the sky. A cold wind blew through the old oak trees. Noah refused to leave the car. "I don't want to." "Why?" He stared toward the cemetery gates. "Mommy doesn't sleep there." My heart skipped. "What?" He slowly pointed toward the far end of the cemetery. "She waits over there." I followed his finger. Nothing. Only rows of old gravestones. I told him to stay inside the car, locked the doors, then walked alone toward Emily's grave. Her headstone looked untouched. Fresh flowers someone had left days earlier. Probably my sister. I knelt, placed my hand against the cold stone. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I don't know what's happening." Then, I noticed something strange. The soil around the grave looked disturbed, not recently dug, but uneven, as though someone had climbed out, then carefully covered it again. I stood, walked around the headstone, and froze. At the back of the grave, there were footprints, small footprints, a child's. They didn't lead to the grave. They led away from it, one step, then another, straight toward the woods behind the cemetery. A terrible thought crossed my mind. Those weren't Noah's footprints. They were much smaller. I slowly followed them. The farther I walked, the quieter the world became. No birds, no wind, nothing. After nearly 50 yards, the footprints stopped, right in front of an enormous dead oak tree. Something had been nailed to the trunk. An old photograph, weathered, faded. I carefully pulled it free. My hands began shaking immediately. The picture showed Emily, smiling, holding Noah, standing in front of our house. But that wasn't possible, because standing directly behind them was a woman, tall, thin, long black hair covering her face. One hand rested gently on Emily's shoulder. I had taken that family photograph myself. I remembered the day perfectly. There had only been 3 people there, not 4. Then, a voice whispered behind me, very close, close enough that I felt warm breath against my neck. "You finally found me." I spun around. Nobody. Then I heard Noah screaming from the parking lot. "Daddy!" I ran, faster than I ever had in my life. When I reached the car, both rear doors were wide open. The engine was still running. Noah was gone. Only his little blue teddy bear lay on the driver's seat, and written across the fogged windshield, in tiny fingerprints, were 5 words that made my blood run cold. "He went with Mommy." For a few seconds, I couldn't move. The empty back seat blurred before my eyes. Noah was gone. The only thing left behind was his blue teddy bear, still warm, as if he'd been holding it only moments ago. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The windshield still carried those tiny fingerprints. 5 horrifying words. "He went with Mommy." I rubbed the glass frantically. The letters wouldn't disappear. They weren't written on the outside. They were inside the fog itself. I stumbled backward. "Noah!" My scream echoed across the cemetery. "Noah!" Only silence answered. Within minutes, the cemetery caretaker called the police. Sheriff Collins arrived with 3 patrol cars, search dogs, flashlights, drones. They searched every inch of the cemetery, the woods, the nearby road, the drainage tunnels. Nothing. Sheriff Collins questioned me for nearly an hour. Start from the beginning. I left him in the car. The doors were locked. I was gone maybe 5 minutes. He couldn't have left. The sheriff looked at one of his deputies. "Bring me the dash cam." The patrol car had been parked facing my station wagon the entire time. Its dash cam had recorded everything. "This should answer what happened," the sheriff said. We watched the footage inside his cruiser. The timestamp showed me walking toward Emily's grave. My station wagon remained in full view. 5 minutes passed. Nothing happened. Nobody approached the vehicle. No doors opened. No windows broke. No strangers. Nothing. Then, the video showed me running back toward the car, opening the rear door, panicking, exactly as I remembered. The sheriff stopped the video, looked at me. "James." There was never anybody in the back seat. I stared at him. "What?" He rewound the footage, played it again. This time, I forced myself to watch carefully. When I'd parked, I clearly got out, walked around the vehicle, closed the rear door, then walked away. But the back seat was empty, completely empty. No Noah, no child, no teddy bear, nothing. I grabbed the laptop. "That's impossible." He was there. I spoke to him. The sheriff quietly asked, "Did anyone else see your son today?" My mind went blank. The motel manager had only spoken to me. The cemetery caretaker had only spoken to me. The officers arrived after Noah disappeared. No one, except me, had actually seen Noah. "No!" I whispered. "No!" Sheriff Collins slowly closed the laptop. "I think you need to come with us." At the sheriff's office, they questioned me for nearly 6 hours. Not because they thought I'd murdered Noah, because, according to every piece of evidence, there was no proof Noah had ever been with me. Then, the sheriff returned carrying a thick folder. "James, I need you to look at something." Inside were hospital records, birth certificates, school documents, family photographs, everything related to my family. Emily's records were there. Mine were there. But there wasn't a single record for Noah. No birth certificate. No vaccination records. No preschool enrollment. Nothing. I grabbed my wallet. There. I pulled out our family photo, the one I'd carried for years. "I'll show you." My hands froze. The photograph had changed. It showed only me and Emily, standing together, smiling. There was no child between us. No little boy. No blue teddy bear. Nothing. I nearly dropped the picture. "No. No. This isn't." The sheriff quietly asked, "James, who is Noah?" I couldn't answer, because, for the first time, I wasn't sure anymore. That night, they allowed me to return home. Not because they believed me, because they believed I was suffering from severe psychological trauma after Emily's disappearance. I unlocked the front door. The house felt colder than ever. Empty. Silent. As I walked into the living room, I heard tiny footsteps running upstairs. Exactly the way Noah used to run. Without thinking, I smiled. "Noah." Silence. Then, from somewhere upstairs, a little boy laughed. The same laugh I'd heard every day for 4 years. Followed by Emily's voice. Soft, gentle, loving. "He's finally starting to forget." And then, a third voice. One I had never heard before. Deep, ancient, satisfied, quietly whispered, Now, he belongs to us too. I didn't sleep that night, not for a single minute. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Noah laughing upstairs, then Emily, then that third voice, deep, patient, waiting. Morning sunlight filled the living room. For the first time in weeks, the house looked normal. No broken glass, no whispers, no footsteps, just silence, almost peaceful. But I knew better. Whatever lived inside this house didn't disappear with daylight. It was waiting. Around noon, there was a knock at my front door. 3 slow knocks. I froze. For one horrifying second, I thought it had come outside. I opened the door. An elderly man stood there. Black coat, white clerical collar, gray hair, kind eyes. My name is Father Michael. I think we need to talk. I frowned. I don't know you. You don't. But I knew Emily. Those words hit me like a punch. What? He quietly stepped inside, looked around the living room, then slowly made the sign of the cross. Almost immediately, the temperature inside the house dropped. Father Michael looked toward the staircase. His expression changed. He whispered, "It's stronger than I imagined." I stared at him. "You know what's happening?" He nodded. "Not completely, but I've seen something similar." He placed an old leather journal on the table. Its pages were yellow with age. Handwritten notes, photographs, maps, church records. One page showed an old black and white picture. Family, father, mother, little daughter, standing in front of my house. I immediately looked closer. The photograph was dated 1968. "What is this?" "They lived here," Father Michael answered quietly. "They disappeared." He turned another page. Another family. Same house. Another. Every 10 or 11 years, another family. Another child. Another disappearance. Then, he pointed toward every single page. Every family had one thing in common. Only one. Each family had one young child. I swallowed. "You think it wants children?" Father Michael slowly shook his head. "No, it uses children." I frowned. "What does that mean?" He closed the journal, then looked directly into my eyes. "The children aren't the victims. They're the doorway." My stomach tightened. "When children are young," he continued, "they see things adults can't. They hear things adults ignore. They open doors. Without ever realizing it, images flooded my mind. Noah talking to empty rooms, watching invisible people, smiling at empty hallways. Father Michael quietly added, "Whatever entered your home, it entered through Noah." "No." I immediately shook my head. "He was just a little boy. I know. He never meant to." Silence filled the room. Finally, I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. "Can I save him?" Father Michael didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat, pulled out an old silver crucifix, placed it gently on the table. "Tonight," he whispered, "it will come for the last time." My heart skipped. "What?" "It's finished hiding. It's finished pretending. It knows that you finally understand." At that exact moment, every clock inside my house stopped. The grandfather clock, the microwave, the oven, my wristwatch, Father Michael's pocket watch. Every single one froze at exactly 3:33 p.m. The priest slowly stood. His face had gone pale. He looked toward the upstairs hallway, not blinking, not breathing. Very quietly, he whispered, "It's already here." I followed his gaze. Standing at the top of the stairs was Noah, still wearing the same little blue pajamas, still holding his teddy bear. He smiled, exactly the way he always used to, then softly said, "Daddy, you finally brought him." Father Michael slowly stepped backward. "What are you talking about?" Noah's smile grew wider, but when he spoke again, it wasn't his voice. It was that same ancient voice, calm, satisfied. "We've been waiting for the priest." The front door slammed shut by itself. Every window shattered again, and Father Michael whispered something that made every drop of blood leave my body. "James, don't let it touch me." The front door slammed shut with enough force to shake the entire house. Every broken window exploded inward. A freezing wind rushed through every room. Father Michael stumbled backward, clutching the silver crucifix against his chest. At the top of the staircase, Noah continued smiling. Only, it wasn't my son anymore. His mouth smiled, but his eyes were completely black. The ancient voice spoke again, not loudly. It didn't need to. Every word echoed inside my head. "You brought us another one." Father Michael immediately grabbed my arm. "James, listen to me carefully. No matter what happens, do not touch the child." I stared at him. "What? That's my son." The priest's eyes filled with sadness. "I know, but that," he slowly pointed upstairs, "isn't." Suddenly, the little figure standing on the staircase laughed. Then, his body began changing. His neck stretched. His arms became longer, far too long. His fingers touched the wooden steps while he still stood upright. Every bone inside his body cracked loudly, one after another, until the small boy was nearly 7 feet tall, still wearing Noah's tiny blue pajamas, still holding the teddy bear. My legs almost gave out beneath me. Father Michael raised the crucifix. "In the name of God." Before he could finish, the creature screamed, not in pain, in anger. Every light bulb inside the house burst. The room plunged into darkness. Only the silver crucifix continued glowing faintly. Then, something slammed Father Michael into the living room wall, so hard the drywall cracked behind him. He collapsed onto the floor, barely conscious. The crucifix slid across the room, stopping near my feet. The creature slowly descended the staircase, not walking, crawling, upside down, like a giant spider, his head twisted completely backward. The smile never disappeared. It stopped only a few feet away from me. Then, his face slowly changed. No longer Noah, no longer Emily. Now, it looked exactly like me. Same face, same eyes, same scar above my eyebrow. It smiled. I smiled. No, I hadn't smiled. It had, then, quietly asked, "Do you know why we chose you?" For the first time, I answered, "No," tilted its head. "Because you opened the door." Images exploded through my mind. Memories, old memories, long forgotten. I was 6 years old, camping with my parents, lost in these same mountains, crying, calling for help. Then, a warm little convenience store appeared through the trees. Bright lights, friendly people, a smiling cashier. I remembered going inside, someone giving me hot chocolate, someone saying, "We'll see you again." Then, nothing. I gasped, "Oh my God!" The creature smiled wider. "You were our first visitor. Your son was never the beginning. He was only the next invitation." Everything suddenly made sense. The house, Emily, Noah, the cemetery, the whispers. None of it had started with them. It had started with me, nearly 30 years earlier. Father Michael slowly stood. Blood ran down the side of his face. He whispered, "James, you have to close the door." "How?" The priest looked directly into my eyes, then quietly said, "You have to go back." The creature laughed, as though it had been waiting to hear those words. The living room disappeared. The house disappeared. The world around me faded into darkness. When my vision returned, I was standing in front of the same convenience store. Warm yellow lights, rain falling, the old neon sign, Miller's General Store. The automatic door slowly opened. The smiling cashier waited inside, exactly as he had 30 years ago. He gently asked, "Welcome back, James. Would you like to take your family home?" He smiled. "Or stay with us forever?" I don't remember what happened after that. Police reports say they found me wandering alone on the highway the next morning, barefoot, covered in mud, unable to speak. Father Michael survived. But he never returned to ministry. He refused to discuss that night ever again. He died 3 years later, taking whatever he knew with him. Emily was never found. Noah was never found. Officially, neither of them ever existed. Every government record, every hospital file, every photograph, every home video had somehow changed. Only my memories remained. People tell me grief can create false memories. Maybe they're right. Maybe I imagined my wife. Maybe I imagined my son. Maybe I imagined every terrifying thing that happened inside that house. But there's one thing: no doctor, no police officer, no psychologist has ever been able to explain. Every year, on October 14th, package arrives at my front door. No return address, no postage. Inside, there's always the same blue teddy bear, perfectly clean, perfectly dry, with a small handwritten note tied around its neck. It always says the same 7 words. Thank you for visiting our store again. I burn it every year, every single year, and every October, a new one arrives. I still don't know why it chose my family. I don't know where Emily went. I don't know where Noah is. And I pray I never find out, because somewhere deep in those mountains, on a road that officially leads nowhere, a little convenience store still turns on its lights every night, waiting for the next tired traveler, the next frightened family, the next child who unknowingly opens the door. The police closed the case. The church buried the records. The mountain kept its secret, and the mystery remains unsolved.